Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back with our episode 12 recap of Survivor Season 40, and it was a good one. It was another good one. Kim finally got poor Kim. She tried to make the move. We have to break down now that winners of Survivor would step down for chocolate and peanut butter. I don't know. My hands are up. You all won the game. I've never played. I've got some things to say to y'all. I don't know. This would have been like a great episode to have like the Godfather here to kind of like just scream at them and be like, you step down for chocolate and peanut butter. But he's not here. I'm really shocked. You saw the reactions from the jury. I mean, Parvati saying, why, Kim, why? But hey, it's what happened. I liked Nick's excuse of I was falling off. So I just said, yes, I'll do it so that I would get the token and the food because there was no way I was standing. But Kim is gone and has finally been voted out of Survivor. We have seen it happen. I know there's going to be a lot of very devastated people on the community this week. That's for sure.
Yeah. And this is a tough one because I certainly don't feel like I have any right to criticize winners on stepping down for peanut butter. But there's something about peanut butter that just gets people to give up immunity. I am personally not the biggest peanut butter fan, but I guess if I'm going on Survivor, you got to be like a huge peanut butter fan. But like this was I felt so like hot and cold on Kim because I was like, what the hell are you doing? And then she gets back to camp and she's like, man, that was a huge mistake. I could not regret that decision anymore. And then goes to tribal council where we'll talk about that. But she fights for herself. Like she's fighting back. And I'm like, yes, Kim, but you maybe didn't have to be in this position. And then she goes, oh man, that was a roller coaster, but it was the time to get her out. Kim was just getting momentum. It was the right time to get her.
And the hard part for her was for her to step down the way she stepped down. She's stepping down after she was very openly going after Tony. I mean, you're very openly going after Tony. You have to think that some people are going to get the word to Tony. And so like to step down while Tony is still in the challenge, which I don't understand why a man and a woman needed to win this. I feel like if there was only going to be one person, Kim probably stays in. And I almost feel like she got a little too comfortable in it being like, well, Denise is going to win and that's not Sarah. So that's what we wanted. But because a man and a woman won it, maybe Kim was thinking, well, it doesn't matter how long I last. Tony beats me. I don't know what her psyche was, but if you're going to go after Tony, you got to make sure you protect yourself as much as you can. You have to. And she didn't tonight.
Yeah. And I think I saw a theory on Twitter that they did this because Parvati was going to win it. But since Parvati's not in the game, it didn't really matter. But I mean, I guess let's get right into this. That there's a couple things here. There's one, the dropping out, and two, the timing of the dropping out by everyone, especially Nick, because Nick was the last person to drop out. So how much food did the three of them end up getting? And like, is Jeff really going to cut them off and be like, oh no, that's one bite. You can't have any more of that. I can't imagine he did, but it all just went so fast. And you could see Denise was really confused. Tony was trying to get some peanut butter. It was, I don't know. This episode felt like a lot of very questionable gameplay to me.
That was very questionable, and I was thinking the same thing. I was texting Will, and I was like, can you eat? I thought the whole point was you just eat until the challenge is over a lot of the time. But, I mean, hey, back in Africa, the first time that this challenge was run, T-Bird beat Clarence in rock, paper, scissors. Clarence stepped down so he could eat a cheeseburger, and he ate it afterwards. So, I mean, it's something that does happen. I mean, people do eat after the challenges. This isn't the same thing as James trying to eat 15 hot dogs or whatever the heck it is before the challenge is over. This was if you step down, you can have it. But I was really surprised. And look, like, am I surprised that Michelle stepped down? I'm honestly not, because Michelle winning challenges is not her thing anyway. And does she think she's going to beat Denise and Kim, who are great at challenges? Probably not. And she also doesn't feel like she's in trouble. I don't think, at least. So I'm not surprised she stepped down. I wouldn't have even been surprised if Denise stepped down, but I was really surprised that Kim stepped down. Like, it was the fact that it was Kim and she was going to go after Tony so hard. And we're giving a hard time to Kim because she's the one who went home. But I got some words for you, Mr. Wilson.
Man. He's got a couple issues.
Yeah, we got a couple things to talk about with Mr. Wilson, but we'll get to that. But I'm just very surprised that Kim, who had such a plan in motion, said, all right, I'm comfortable enough and I'm going to step down. Mm-hmm. That really blew my mind.
Yeah. And there must have been, this would have been another really good week for Exit Press, but you so rarely see, and maybe it's because it's winners, you so rarely see people being like, man, I really regret this decision, even before they go home. Like Kim and Michelle and even Nick immediately were like, oh crap, that was a horrible decision. And Nick, and this is, I guess, another thing we can get into, because there was a lot of, like, a decent amount of fire token conversation. So what I want to know is, did Tony already pay Nick back from last week? Because Nick just got another fire token. So are they even or not?
Well, and that's what I kind of hate, is that there used to be, like, in older Survivor, I'm almost done with Marquesas right now. In an old school Survivor, after a vote happened, the first thing we saw the next day or the next episode was the aftermath. And we saw the aftermath. Like, don't get me wrong. We got Sarah screaming. Everybody can hear it. We got Ben not talking to Jeremy. We got a lot of great aftermath. But who didn't get paid? I need to know who didn't get paid. Like, those are things that while a lot of viewers will kind of just ignore that, for like the really big fans, the people who podcast, listen to podcasts, are on Reddit all the time, even the people who are on Sucks all the time. Like, if you're a huge fan, these are things you want to know. It's same thing with a schoolyard pick'em. I want to know who picked who, because allies are drawn there. Survivor Gabon, Bob Crowley was considered the third most important person on his tribe and was the last guy picked from his tribe. Like, there's these things that, like, we just need to see to get a better understanding. And, like, why was Ben so forgiving of Tony? Maybe he got paid. Why was Nick so forgiving? Maybe he got paid. Why was Jeremy so forgiving? Did he get paid? Like, I don't know. And I think these are things, like, when we see these types of transactions, we need to see the effect of like, it's cause and effect. We need to see the end game of these things. So I don't really have an answer as to if Nick has 2 tokens from Tony now or just 1.
Well, part of the reason, and I'm so ready for our fans to roll their eyes. Part of the reason why we didn't have time for that explanation is because we needed a second transport useless objects 20 times 1 by 1 to the shelter Edge of Extinction challenge. Why?
I'm going to sit in silence because I don't have an answer. So you're asking somebody who does not. So another thing that I really love about, like, Survivor Marquesas, just watching, like, the 4 versus 4 challenges where Boston Rob is racing Pascal into the woods. Like, that's joyful. I get a lot of joy out of watching Pascal and Boston Rob race. And even though Boston Rob wipes the floor with Pascal, which he should, I love it. And I actually like the idea of getting back to this physical aspect of the game, which anybody wants to go read Jeff, his interview with Dalton Ross. He was talking about the future of Survivor. It's not that positive of an article, but it's close enough. But anyway, like, I like the idea that they're kind of getting back to that. I really did. Like, you know, these types of challenges where, like, it really does come down to brute strength, because there was a point in Survivor where it was too much focused on brute strength, and people like Lex would win all the challenges, or people like Colby would win all the challenges. And then as it started to become a little more nuanced, it started to give favor to maybe smaller competitors or whatever. And now I think it's gotten to the point where, like, there's no advantage to anything. And I do think that in Survivor, you should have an advantage if you're stronger, or you should have an advantage if you're smarter. Like, I don't think that every challenge needs to be 100% fair, that anybody can win any challenge. Don't go back to the coconuts of Marquesas, but, like, I kind of like this. Like, we had 6 people get the token here, and it wasn't necessarily the 6 people you would expect. Natalie, of course. Yul, yeah. Tyson, yeah. But I was surprised at Sophie. I was surprised Danny and Wendell were 6 and 7 and how close they were to each other. I was surprised that Adam Klein looks like he's never run a quarter mile in his damn life. Get it together, buddy. I mean, he's like dating a gymnast or whatever. It's like, be athletic. Gosh. But again, like, my problem is it's wasted on Edge. Put this in the real game. Like, put this, like, and Nick Marano said this, like, perfectly. I felt like, give this to me in the real game, and I am so in. If Tony and Ben are racing each other to get coconuts, to get 2 fire tokens, and it creates drama with people who are then going to turn around and vote each other out, I am all in. Didn't like it on Edge, though. I feel like it's, once again, it's like, why are we spending so much time over there? I don't want to dwell on it too long, because I know that it'll piss people off, but at the end of the day, I'm pissed off. So why should you not be pissed off? Like, I don't understand why I should be alone. Misery loves company. I need company. You're all my company. So thanks for being my company, and also be miserable with me.
Yeah, I mean, we do want to keep some viewership here, so I'll take one positive out. Sophie, total champ.
Amazing.
Like, didn't like, obviously Sophie's athletic. Sophie's done very well in challenges, but Natalie has been put on such a pedestal, and seeing Sophie and Natalie's being like, at least we'll get 1 and 2 was awesome. I was really shocked and impressed by that. Yeah.
Can I say this though?
Sure.
Natalie, so it was day 20. I think it was day 29 they did that challenge, because day 30 was the boot. Day 29 was when they did that challenge. Natalie's voted out on day 2. 27 days she's been out there, like starving. I mean, like eating like the little bit of rice and whatever. And I guess she's gotten some peanut butter or whatever, but like really not eating much and just sitting there waiting for like the days to end. Kind of like me every day right now. But yeah, but anyway, kind of just sitting there for the days to end. And she's still able to come out and kick the crap out of everybody. Like, Natalie's a beast, and I wonder how much differently this season would have gone had the producers not put her and Jeremy on the same tribe to start. Because if they were on different tribes to start, Natalie Anderson is not the first boot of this season, and Natalie Anderson should be the first boot of 0 seasons in Survivor history. She is a physical beast. She's a good strategic player, and she got a raw deal. And I mean, with how physical she is, God, could Blue have actually won some challenges? And could we have seen Ethan and Danny and things like that, like, still be in the game? The world may never know. The world will never know. But it makes me sad to see how she's still dominating after being out there for 27 days and knowing that her tribe voted her off first. Oh, it's brutal.
It's brutal. And that's a really good point. Like, Sophie has had almost a month's more food than Natalie has, and they were going at it. Natalie's looking amazing. And I kind of like, she and Parvati seem to have kind of a thing going now, and I'm really confused by how many fire tokens everyone has, so I can't even attempt to count that. Allegedly Denise has more than 5, but again, that's very unclear because we don't know much.
And I think Natalie does too, I think.
Probably, yeah, at this point. So we'll need someone to check that for us for the prop bet, but that's all I'll say about Edge of Extinction, other than the fact that Danny looks like she has lost a human body's worth of weight. Holy cow. I hope she gets to eat a lot when she's done.
I mean, that was the thing with Danny, like, because this was more of an endurance challenge, like, this was up my alley. Like, as like an ex-cross country runner, I was excited by this. I was like, I like this.
Still running too, like 2.5 hours in, they were jogging.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to do what you got to do, and I thought that was really cool. And like Danny, though, she had that like physique of those like marathon runner girls who like are just like no fat on their body. Like, that is what Danny is down to right now. And like, that's brutal in a situation where like you're starving and then being asked to run, because we see this happen to the big guys all the time. And we don't really think about it that much with the skinnier women, but with the big guys, like the reason people like Cole and Brennan Shapiro and Joe Anglum pass out is because they don't have any fat on their bodies. Yeah. And that's the thing with Danny right now. And she's able to kind of keep it together too. So good for her. She just finished 7th. Wendell's still got a little, he's got some distance skills. You can't count out Wendell. And also Wendell with the line of the night tonight. Does your breath smell like peanut butter? You got some peanut butter breath? Can I smell it? That was amazing. Like, way to troll Kim now that she's there, and also like make her feel real bad about eating that peanut butter. Thought that was amazing.
Well, that's because Wendell is a horrible person, a terrible villain, has to rub salt in Kim's open wound. No, I thought that was hilarious. It was such a good, like, immediate cut to commercial after that. Yeah, Kim's going to be regretting that peanut butter for quite a while. Yeah. Kim is someone who I already put up pretty high in doing well in that returning challenge. I think Kim's, really proven herself. I think she could have definitely won it tonight. Let's talk about someone else who regrets jumping off too early, Mr. Nick Wilson. And man, for a lawyer, that was one of the worst attempts at lying I've ever seen. When Tony's grilling him about Kim, that is tough.
That was terrible. And the way he was like, let me think about it. It's like, it was just like, such
ask me a follow-up question and then I'll decide.
That was brutal. That was so bad. And I think he was just caught off guard by it. And Tony's really good at that. And that's something like we can give Nick a hard time as much as we want, but it's more about how good Tony is at that kind of thing. Tony is phenomenal at catching people off guard because you never know what he's going to say. And that's such a hard thing to figure out. Like he just comes up to Nick and Nick's got a smile on his face and he's like, "Oh, did you hear my name today?" No. "Oh, because Ben told me you and Kim are bringing it up." And he's like, huh? What? Let me think about it. Like, you're just not expecting it. And it's like your wonderful, beautiful day turns into this absolute rainstorm disaster right before your eyes. And terrible lying. Just absolutely awful by Nick there.
So bad. He's got to take some lying lessons from Michelle. So I have some, we can talk about Michelle, but what do we like? First of all, Nick again creeped into a conversation. I feel so bad for him. They are like, he is just getting dragged here. But we see him having confessionals saying like, I've got to kind of take control here. And I think he does kind of the best job he can. He really just inserts himself in. And I don't mean that in a joking way. Like, I think that's really good. And Tony now considers him to be a very close confidant. And I'm going to go out and say, I don't know how much they're going to be trusting Ben, because Ben came out looking real bad this episode. So I think they're going to be nervous. They, as in Tony and Sarah, who I called it, got back together. That and the spy nest was such a disappointment. That hopefully we get to see it because that was such a quick clip.
Next week's 2 hours.
Oh, it's actually just 2 hours of him sitting in the tree.
Sitting in the tree. But I do see, this is what we've tried to talk about on all of our predictions and power rankings episodes. These winners know where they stand. And people give Nick and Michelle so much shit, and they give Ben so much shit. Like,
Nick deleted his Twitter. I hope people feel bad about that.
Yeah, they don't. They absolutely don't. But so like they know where they stand. They know who they can beat. They all have plans. It's just we only see really the plans of the winner of a season. We heard this a lot with season 39. Everybody had a plan on who they wanted to sit with at the end. It's just we saw it from Tommy's point of view because Tommy wins the game. And that's what's happening in this season right now. Nick and Michelle know that they can have to go to the final three together and probably with the edge of extinction returning. They say, let's bring Denise along because there's a chance they can beat Denise. And let's bring Kim along because we can get rid of Kim at like final 5 or something like that. Like Kim's somebody that's nobody's going to want to keep around. But they know they have to get rid of Jeremy. They have to get rid of Sarah and they have to get rid of Tony. They know that. They know they have to get rid of Kim. Like, they're all very smart people, and I love the way Nick laid that out for us and said, look, this is who we have to get rid of, and this is why we need to get rid of them. I really love that. I thought that was great. And so, like, yeah, later on in the episode, it doesn't work in his favor because then he ends up stepping down, which maybe he really was falling. I couldn't really tell, but he ends up stepping down and giving Tony immunity. So now you can't blindside Tony, but Tony really trusts Nick. And this episode showed that just because some winners aren't getting as big of edits as other people, they're still very much like playing the game as hard as they can play the game. And they're thinking it 10 steps ahead, like winners of Survivor have to do. Absolutely.
And that's what you see with Michelle. She just gives that. She just gives her coin to Jeremy, which one question I have for next week, is he giving that back? Because he's still in trouble. His name's coming up all the time.
I don't think Michelle's going to ask for it back, to be completely honest with you. I don't think she cares.
What did Nick say? My pockets are feeling light.
My pockets are feeling light. I thought that was amazing. And
that was fantastic.
I don't think Michelle cares. And I think tonight, like, gosh, like I know that right now, my gut is telling me Jeremy's got no shot at this game. That's just the way I'm seeing it. It's an uphill battle, nonstop. It's kind of like Jay back in Millennials vs. Gen X and David in Millennials vs. Gen X. Like, there was just no way they're going to be able to overcome every single obstacle that was in front of them in order to win. And I feel like that's what's happening right now with a player like Jeremy. But again, and it's going to go so understated, Jeremy is so good at Survivor. Like, he is so good. The fact that he didn't play his idol tonight, that man's instincts, like, I would I would love to be one of his daughters, because anytime they bring home a significant other, Jeremy's going to know within the first 3 seconds whether or not they're allowed to be in his house or they got to get the hell out to the curb, because he is so good at reading a situation and knowing, like, how many people were sitting there going, how are you not playing that coin? How are you not playing that coin? How are you not playing that coin? And in reality, I was trying to figure it out. Is he going to play it for himself? He's going to play it for Kim. But he knew if he plays it for Kim, he goes home. If he plays it for himself, it doesn't do any good. And he's able to trust Tony enough and trust the people around him enough. And I think he's going to got eventually. I do think he's going to go home eventually. And maybe it's because he plays his coin and he's correct, but it lands on not safe. But I just need to keep reiterating how good Jeremy is at just like reading people and reading situations and things like that. I just think it's phenomenal. And for the people asking, why did Michelle vote for Jeremy, even though she's tight with him? Because that's what needed to happen tonight. There was no way they were going to be able to round up enough votes to vote out Ben, to vote out Sarah. You're still, I mean, even though it's final 8, there's still so much time left in this game, considering there's somebody coming back from Edge of Extinction. Michelle told Jeremy she was voting for him, but said, play this idol if you need to play it. Like, that was the plan. Like, I don't know. There's only so much you can do, and good on Jeremy for knowing that, you know, Tony was telling him the truth this time. Now you got to realize that Tony's going to be lying to you soon, because he's pretty much telling a half truth this entire game.
And I mean, if I'm someone, well, I guess like future PSA to whoever dates any of Jeremy's children, they might be too scared to, because Jeremy has a death glare like I've never seen. Jeremy and Ben, who we'll get to them, he can just fling a death glare. It's unbelievable. For someone who's so affable, man, I would never want him to be mad at me. But his, like you said, his perception of what's going on is so good, especially because now he had to figure that out within all the insanity. It was not only just everything that happened at camp, but the, you know, 3rd out of the last 4 tribal councils that had conversations and whispering. And one question I want to talk to you about is not so much the whispering, because I know, you know, we know how we feel about it, but this is the second time that this has happened. How do you feel about I'll use the word waffling with... I
hate it.
Sarah, you cool? Jeremy, can I? No, I'm not going to play this. Okay, fine. Like, Jeremy, what do you think? Jeremy, you know, debates a little bit. I think Jeff's got to shut that down. And I don't love that, because then it totally takes away the, like, oh my God, I can't believe Jeremy flipped this coin and it worked and he didn't get votes, or it didn't work and he goes home, and it just totally takes away all of that. I don't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I feel like that's going to be an unpopular opinion, because it was Tony who did the whispering.
Yes,
and I'm totally prepared.
I love Tony. I don't care that I don't care that he started. Still hate it.
I'm just totally prepared for the live comments to start popping up and be like, stop complaining about this. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think that this is going to be an unpopular opinion because it's Tony. And it did create an interesting moment. Like, Jeremy screaming to the heavens was pretty funny. But I agree with you. Like, either play it or don't play it. Either get up or don't get up. Either do it or don't do it. Like, it's got to just be, we're doing it or we're not. Those moments of, I'm just going to walk in front of you, Kelly Wentworth, does not count. Like, that is what I want to see. When she got up and played that, everybody was like, oh my God. So those are the types of things that, like, I'm into. Also, like, too revealing of Tony tonight to be like, I'm just going to play it. Like, I don't like that from him here, because it shows too much allegiance to Sarah, and also says, like, maybe I don't trust everybody else, so they didn't vote for Sarah. Like, it doesn't show trustworthiness in everybody else. So I don't like that. And it says, I have an idol. I don't know if everybody knows he has an idol. I don't think anybody knows he has an idol. So I don't like the way this went down tonight.
So I'm actually, in terms of being revealing, I was actually more nervous for Jeremy revealing that, because no one thought that Jeremy had anything. And Jeremy, like, for the 3rd week in a row, was a target. So I thought that this makes me nervous for Jeremy. And this is another one where it's not guaranteed. He can't just ditch. He doesn't definitely have an idol. He might have one. With Tony, I didn't find it to be so revealing. I'll now defend him, because I know that people will think I hate Tony. But so Sarah knew, Ben knew, and I think someone else knew, but I could be wrong. I am not too nervous about Tony telling people that he has an idol, because his name, at this point, by the end of the episode, his name had come up. And at the beginning of the episode, he was saying it too, but I think in his position, and I always say that you should never tell people that you have an idol, in his position, he had such an episode and he's playing such a game that he almost needs to put up a like try me kind of
Mm-hmm.
wall, because people are going to be gunning for him for the rest of the game. He almost needs a like, oh no you don't, I have this and I'm not afraid to play it. So I kind of get that from him. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely get that too. I just think it was weird that he was so willingly saying like, I'm just going to play it for Sarah. Like, I didn't like that. That I didn't like. Like, I like that. I mean, I don't care if Tony says like, I have an idol. You guys really going to try to vote me out? I just don't like that he was saying like, I'm going to play this for Sarah right now, because now it kind of says like somebody like Ben, like, wait a second, why were you going to play that for Sarah? Wouldn't you want to play that for me? Like, who do you think is voting for Sarah? And it kind of tips off like the Jeremys, the Michelles, the Denise, and say like, I don't trust you that you're voting the way you say you're going to vote, which is kind of like, you want to keep this loyalty thing up.
Yeah.
The Jeremy point is interesting though. And I like what you said there, because now people are going to be worried that Jeremy has something. And if they don't know really what it is, does that mean they're going to be scared to think, there you go, Matt Burke, people may think he has an idol instead of a coin. Are they going to be scared to put all their votes on Jeremy, especially now that people know Tony has an idol, and know that if votes are going to Jeremy, the likelihood is that the votes are going on the other side to Tony. Jeremy and Tony both play idols, and now you have nobody who has a vote. Like, it's going to create like really an interesting dynamic in the next tribal council. And it's going to be interesting to see what people think, if we get these scenes, what they think Jeremy has and what he doesn't have.
Well, I'm very curious for the next tribal council, because Jeremy, like something you never see, kind of snaps at Denise, who I literally want to give MVP to only because she tried to shut the talking down.
Amazing.
And this is another one where like they were both rude to each other. Like it was just like kind of an ugly situation. Like Denise just being like, can we, dude, like stop this? The hand in the face, not great. Don't love that. But like, you got to stop this at some point. It's and Jeff's narrating it for like, Jeff's not stopping this at any point. So I like Denise shutting it down. That does kind of signal to Jeremy, however, that she's going for him, because she literally put her hand in his face. That's not great. And
did Denise though?
That was a little.
I don't know if Denise actually did vote for Jeremy though, and I also don't know if Denise at that point. I think it's one of those where it's like,
I could be wrong. I have to assume.
Well,
Michelle,
yeah, she wouldn't have voted for Kim. You're right. She voted
Michelle, Denise, and Kim voted for Jeremy.
Voted for Jeremy. Makes sense. And Michelle was kind of the only one who voted for Jeremy, not wanting Jeremy to go home.
Right.
Kim and Denise both wanted Jeremy to go home. No, so that's right. But yeah, I thought it was ugly, but then at the same time, which Alexa, I noticed you haven't liked my tweet yet.
You tweeted? You never tweet.
Well, you didn't like my tweet yet. I said Denise is me.
I was trying
to because that's truthfully how I feel. I felt like that as that was happening, where she was just like, stop it, I'm done. Like, that's exactly how I felt in that moment. I was like, I'm done with this. This is the end for me. I don't care anymore. Like, again, when this happened the first time, great. When it happens the second time, fine. Like, but now it's starting to be a weekly thing. And it's just, to me, it's like, nah, I don't care. Like, the same thing as playing an idol every week. It just doesn't matter to me. Watching people talk about idols every week doesn't feel the same. Like, I want variety in my Survivor. And we know every time I go to tribal, there's just going to be some sort of live tribal. I didn't like it. So, but I like Denise being like, stop it, we're done. Because again, like, out of all those conversations, what was really said? Nothing changed.
That's exactly what I said. The vote still went the way it was going to go. Kim was going to go home. I think Ben was wavering, but Ben ends up voting for Kim. Yeah. So why did we have to go through all this?
I know.
I don't know, because Tony's conversation with Jeremy was like, are you still doing what I said you were doing? When would it have changed? Yeah. It bugs me, but I don't want to keep complaining. Denise is great. I don't care what anybody says. I hope she gets immunity next week, because she is looking like she is in big trouble. Go ahead.
I was going to say something about immunity. They cannot do a man and woman immunity this late in Survivor. Not with all the advantages and idols and things that are out there.
Yeah.
You're going into a tribal council with 6 people able to go home, 2 people safe. We have 2 people with idols and 1 person with a coin flip. Mm-hmm. So technically 5 people could be safe going into this tribal council. That leaves only 3. No, it would have been out of 8 but still, that leaves only 3 people to go home. I don't like that. And I like it at the beginning of the merge. I think it's a great idea at the beginning of the merge. I like that. It makes it a little bit easier, like not easier, but like, we've seen some seasons where we merge and there's 8 men and 4 women. So like, the men, that competition is a lot more intense. The female one's not as intense, but you get 1 man, you get 1 woman, and then there's a little bit of power going. So it kind of prevents the man versus woman alliance. Like that can't really happen. So I really like that, but that's at like 13, 12, 10. When you get down to 8, and like, I don't even think you can do it at 10 anymore, because down to 10, with all these advantages in idols, think about it. You had Sophie's idol, you had Jeremy's escape from jail free, you had Sarah's steal a vote. Like, there's so many different advantages. I just think it's too many things, and it leaves too many people who are able to be safe. So I think you have to just keep it at 1 person wins immunity this late in the game. I just think that's a fact. And I think it would have changed up the dynamic tonight too, of like who would have stepped down for peanut butter. I really do believe that. So yeah. But your point was Jeremy saying that you do realize this is only good for this week. Denise has one too. So
yeah, Denise is looking pretty good. And yeah, and in terms of challenge beasts, it's like Tony, Kim's gone. Like I mean, good for Denise there, but I am nervous for her. Maybe with she has at least 3 fire tokens. Kim gave her 1 and she won 2. Mm-hmm. So she has at least 3. Someone do the math on that. Real quick thing about immunity. This is, again, going to make me sound really bad because, again, I love Tony. Did anybody else notice? Jeff is narrating the whole time. I'm going to step back so we can see. Normally, like, everyone's arms straight up. Tony had a bend. Tony had a bend in the arm.
Well, I think Tony was leaning. He was leaning. What I didn't like, and I'm going to say this right now because I just watched Survivor. Like I said, I'm watching Survivor Marquesas, and people get kicked out for much less. And we saw Ben get booted for touching the thing. And also, like, Ben, everybody keeps calling him a child on this season, like Jeremy does. And tonight, like, Ben kind of was a child, but in like an endearing way, not a bad way, where like when he touched it, and then Jeff called him out, and he was like, oh. And then Jeff was like, did you touch? He's like, yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
and he just walked.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. And I think that's fantastic. Yeah. But you're not supposed to touch your arm. And Tony had his hand like this at one point. Oh, and I didn't like it. It was very brief, but he was touching his arm. And in Marquesas, Boston Rob decides that he's going to try to splash people with water. And when he does, he touches the board and they kick him out. And then John Carroll later in that same exact challenge bends over to pick up his hat off the board and Jeff boots him. So Tony touched his arm. Like, I have a problem with that. Like, that's all. Like, and I know Tony won. And look, I want Tony in this game. Like, no offense to any other winner. Yeah. If Tony wins this season, I am beyond satisfied. I am beyond satisfied with how this is going down. But I just don't think you should have been allowed to do that when Jeff blatantly says we made it a rule where you can't hold your arm up. And I know that that's not holding your arm up, it's just touching, but this feels a hell of a lot better than this. Yeah. There's support here. You can push on a place that hurts. Just saying.
I totally missed that. So then there's two. Now I want to rewatch this because everyone was straight up and he had a little give there. And if he's also touching his arm, that's not great. But let's talk about Ben, because Ben has like 2 great moments and then like 5 really bad moments. And I guess like one kind of funny one too. Ben like admitting that he touched the bowl. That's great. Like, you got to do that. And Jeff posed the question, like, Ben could have, to the ire of America's internet, could have said like, oh no, I didn't touch it, but totally does the right thing there. Ben lifting up Tony like a little baby, running into the sunset, into the commercial break. Unreal.
Unbelievable. And Tony, you're going to hurt your back. You're going to hurt your back. Seriously, man. But so we got a lot of Ben and Tony tonight, and this is going to be interesting because I honestly believe, and this is not saying that Tony is not a nice guy. I think Tony's an unbelievably nice guy. I think Tony's a misunderstood, nice, like very nice guy. Like, people always want to be like, look how harsh he is and things like that. But I think Tony's heart is in the right place. He just gets intense when he plays a game like this. I think Ben is too nice and it's going to get him voted out by Tony, because
that's a take. You should take that clip and put that on the internet.
People are going to think it's stupid, but I think Ben is too nice of a person that Tony's going to be able to easily pull the wool over his eyes when he wants to vote him out. He's going to be able to blindside Ben when Ben has an idol if he wants to. I really, really, really believe that. And so
I thought they were going to tonight.
Exactly. And I don't think Ben would have seen it coming at all. And so what happens is here, first of all, you have Tony at the beginning of the episode say, put your man panties on, which was awesome, incredible, good job.
Reference of man panties this season?
I don't know why he loves man panties. Then he gets pooped on while he's talking to Ben.
Unreal.
He gets pooped on. But Ben was very open to this and I believe you. It's okay. Let's work together. This is fine with me. And then later on, when Ben finds the idol and immediately tries to sneak it, and Tony immediately calls him out, you can see Ben get that oh God, he caught my hand in the cookie jar, but now I have to be so nice. The problem isn't that you tried to hide it from Tony. It's now that Tony has the power in this position. Tony knows you have an idol. Tony and Tony told Ben that he also has an idol, but now Tony knows Ben has an idol. Ben feels more comfortable with Tony, and Tony has that power position where he can be I forgive you. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And now Ben's going to be constantly thinking to himself, am I overthinking it? Is he really trying to come after me? I don't really know. And so he gets down on his knees and he's I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah. Carries him down the trail. It's adorable. It's amazing. But I think that it's setting up for Tony to be able to just blindside Ben. No problem.
And Ben Ben had a good moment. He got he's oh, I got caught red-handed, but actually gold-handed. I would have made the same mistake that, I don't know if we would even call it a mistake. I would do the same thing. I would be talking, I'd shove that in my pocket. I would not tell them. I think good on Tony for catching that, tough on Ben. But again, Tony really trusts him. And I think Ben is really loyal to him. What's making me nervous about Ben is to the people he's not aligned with, he's not
going to get any votes.
Clear. He's not. And the whole, do you want to talk? No. That is you say yes to everything. Every survivor says you agree to everything. That's just that's tough. And I get the anger. I'm wildly impatient, especially when I'm in a bad mood, but that's tough. That's going to get him in a lot of trouble, because even Tony and Sarah were saying, they made a point about cutting him for Nick, I think. So that's not great for Ben, but hey, he's got an idol and he has no problem playing them. So.
And it was smart with Jeremy to kind of call out Ben in front of everybody and be you want to go talk, and have him say no, but have other people sitting there so he can be yes. Guys, Ben is so emotional. You get on his bad side. He won't even work with you. Do you really want to do this? Do you really want to work with? And look, Ben was not known for his social game in his first season. He found the idols. He was able to win it at the end. Honestly, you get down to it, that final three, probably some of the worst social game. And I'm not saying that they're bad Survivor players. I think all three of them are good Survivor players in their own way, but none of them had the strength of social game. That was not Chrissy's strength. That was not Ryan's strength. And that was not Ben's strength. None of them had the social game. And that whole season, it's very weird. Joe Mena, not a social player. That's just not how it was.
Social players on that season.
So my thing is Ben was able to win a season of people who weren't good social players. Tony was able to win a season of kind of evil, crazy, psycho people. And then he pulls it out and he's able to get the win there. And then he tries it again the second time and it doesn't work. Tony has learned what he's had to change. Ben hasn't learned what he has to change. And the flaws in his game that were prevalent in his first time, but didn't cost him the $1 million, are going to cost him the $2 million here, because Jeremy will never vote for him. Adam will never vote for him. I doubt Ethan's going to vote for him. Boston Rob's not going to vote for him. There's so many people on that jury who just never are going to vote for Ben.
Right. And I think they're kind of, we saw the first hint of them kind of rooting for Tony. And this is something that we saw in the last Edge of Extinction. Obviously, this is different because these players all know each other. But I forget who, I think it was Rob who said, Tony's a boss. And you see Parvati being Kim, why did you do that? You're seeing who they're rooting for. And it is not Ben.
It is not Ben. No, you're 100% right. And I think, let's be real. If Tony's going to keep pulling what he's pulling, everybody's going to be rooting for Tony. Exactly. Tony is playing this game so perfectly right now. He's won 3 straight immunity challenges. He has an idol. He's got everybody thinking they're aligned with him. I mean, what's amazing about this season more than other seasons is we're being told that Tony is lying to these people. Tony is saying, I'm lying to Jay. I'm lying to Michelle. I'm lying to Nick. I'm lying to Ben. I'm lying to, like, the only one he's not really lying to is Sarah. He really wants to work with Sarah. But what's amazing is we're seeing him say, I'm lying to these people. And then we're seeing confessionals after that of the people saying, I think Tony's with me. I think he's 100%. And those people don't go home. So right now, we know that Tony is lying to almost every single person left in the game. And almost every single person left in the game believes Tony 100%.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, and I'm glad you brought that up because, first of all, Sarah has like great, huge props to the producers for having a Sarah confessional. It's like, I got to stay cool. And then hard cut to like, you totally just effed my game. Loved that. But Tony then turns around and says, I swear on my family. Who believes that? How do you buy that when Tony says that? And people are trusting him. And the only person who didn't was Kim. And look where she ended up.
And Kim's gone. And now we have a final 7. And think about like the dynamic of this final 7. Like you have your Tony, who's running this game right now. You have Jeremy, who's a huge threat. Sarah, who's a huge threat. Ben, who's kind of in the middle. And then you have Denise, Michelle, and Nick. And Denise, Michelle, and Nick know that they have to work with Denise, Michelle, and Nick in order to get to the end and have a chance of winning. Are we going to be in a situation where Jeremy is the swing vote this week and has to determine between trusting Tony or trusting Michelle, who gave him a flip a coin, and Jeremy just is so blinded by Tony, he ends up going with it's going to be so interesting to see how this final 7 plays out. Next week, I'm assuming because it's a 2-hour episode, we're going to see 7 and 6 get voted out. And then the next episode will start probably with the return challenge. That's what I'm assuming. So who are we going to see go home next week? I don't know. But like that final 7 boot is going to be very tricky because even if Jeremy does say, I'm going to go with Michelle, Denise, and Nick, the other side's got 2 idols. And Tony proved tonight he's willing to play one for Sarah.
Yeah. I think, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Ben will be able to get blindsided with the idol. I think Tony will not. Because Tony's got no problem playing that. Ben, again, I think Ben almost could have gone home tonight. I really thought he was going to. So you think next week, 2 hours, you think there's going to be 2 people who go home? My mom's doing the dishes. 2 people who go home and a returning challenge?
No, I think it's going to be 2 people go home and then the returning challenge starts off the finale because even if they weren't going to do it that way, considering there's not going to be a live finale this year and instead it's going to be the Zoom call, they're going to spend so little time on that I think like it's probably going to be a lot like what the NFL draft was at the beginning, where it's going to be like, this is what we're doing. We're here for you. We're in this together, all of that stuff. And that's pretty much what the reunion is going to be. It's not really going to be, it's going to be like a catch up of like, how's everybody doing? Great. We're glad to see you and your families. Cool. Move on. Yeah. So because we're only probably going to get like, I feel like that finale is going to be 2.5 hours of Survivor, 30 minutes of reunion. It's already been bleeding into the reunion, but now that there really is no reunion, I think just do 2.5 hours and let it bleed all the way in.
And I'm fine with that because we talked about this ad nauseum with Nick Mayorano 2 predictions ago. If anyone ever gets a chance, go and listen to it. We barely talk about the predictions and we talk about like the state of Survivor, and it's really, really interesting. But I think they'll do like a reunion when they can, when the world goes back to normal. I don't need to watch a ton of this on a Zoom call. I'd rather watch a ton of Survivor. And I'm kind of derailing quickly, but I do not watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. But I believe in the fall, because The Bachelor is not filming, or whichever one was supposed to be the summer, is not filming in the fall. They are airing old, unaired footage. And I love that. Like if I was a Bachelor fan, I would be all over that. I really hope CBS does the same.
I would love CBS to do something because what you have to think about too is like, this is getting a little off, but I love that you bring this up. But like, if you think about it, a lot of TV shows, what you film is what goes in the episode, and what you cut is because it wasn't good enough to go in the episode. That's how 99% of TV shows work. I mean, if you work in scripted TV, that's how it is. If a scene didn't make it, nobody cares about that scene. I don't need to watch that scene. But when it comes to reality TV, they're cutting so much because there's only so many minutes and you have such an excess of footage. It's not like you're sitting there going, oh no, we only have 3 days to film, or what is it? The 8 and 7 or whatever. You have 8 days of filming an episode. If you have 8 days of filming an episode for regular TV, you have to it's got to be economical the entire time. Boom, 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 boom. With reality TV, you're just cameras on, whatever. And so I would love to see something like that. Even if I would love to see them air an old season, maybe Kagayan or something, like the winter season or something like that. But I would also love it if they went back and kind of took first of all, give the editors a job. I'm sure a lot of editors are doing fine, which, because that's something you can do from home. But as TV shows stop being filmed, that's something you can do. And if the editors on Survivor sit there, say create a story of Survivor with these behind the scenes things that are going on, from season 1 all the way to season 40, there's so much stuff that you could watch and you could create a narrative here. So I do kind of I like where the Bachelor's head's at. And I hope Survivor does something very similar, because at the end of the day, if Survivor's not filming, nothing else is filming either. That's just a fact. And the one good thing for TV shows is that a lot of them film in Georgia. That's the one good thing going for TV shows right now. And that's just a fact. They film in Vancouver, they film in Los Angeles, they film in New York, and they film in Georgia. Those are the 4 main spots. And the fact that Georgia is opening back up faster, I mean, maybe they're going to try to get production in sooner, but if there's nothing in production, give us some old Survivor, give us some behind the scenes, just give me anything Survivor related. I will sit in front of the TV for an hour and watch it.
Oh, so season 41 is not going to be Survivor Atlanta, because that's what I was waiting for.
No, it's not going to be Survivor Atlanta. I mean, they could put them on. They could fake the moon landing like Stanley Kubrick did. They could do that if they really wanted to. Also, that's not. I don't believe that. Okay, that's just the thing.
I would totally watch Survivor Atlanta. I feel like then we get a little real worldy, but I'm about it.
I keep saying there's no reason Survivor Wyoming isn't happening. There's no reason. I mean, has
anyone been to Wyoming and checked? No. I mean, it could be happening. You're right. I mean, Jeff could be in Wyoming right now filming it. Survivor Wyoming coming to your TV fall 2020. Yeah.
No, I think that they're going to figure something out, and I really like that idea, because we're not going to get it in the fall. I mean, that's just how it is right now, and we'll see what's going to happen. I mean, hey, every day brings something new, right? I'm trying to stay as optimistic as possible. Some days we all have our down days, but hey, today was a good day, right, Alexa? Today was a good day.
Today was a very good day. Yeah, great Survivor episode. I mean, a ton to talk about. Again, questionable activity by a lot of people, but setting up for a really interesting end game here. And having 2 boots next week's going to be crazy. Though, nope, never mind. My math is wrong, but that's because I can't do simple math. It's going to be really crazy. Who do you have as the MVP of this episode?
God, Tony, see... So this would be 3 straight weeks Tony would win. And I feel like Tony is becoming too easy of an answer. Mm-hmm. And I think it's this is what always happens with MVP. And this is what we've always had the problem with. When somebody is so focal in their season, it's easy to call them the MVP every single time. It's so easy to say Tony's the MVP, Tony's the MVP, Tony's the MVP, because we're seeing so much of Tony, and he's probably again the MVP this week. But could you make a case for Jeremy? Yeah, I think you absolutely could make a case for Jeremy.
I was going to say Jeremy.
He made Ben look bad. He voted correctly. He got handed an advantage. And even though he got votes, and one of those votes was coming from his arguably closest ally in the game, he still knew that he didn't need to play this thing. So I think there's so much that goes into this. I really do. But it's probably Tony again. I mean, let's be real.
Mm-hmm. I think it is too. I think Jeremy, I'll be contrarian and I'll say Jeremy just because, again, he was able to get the vote off of himself. Michelle just handed him, Michelle handed him an advantage like that. People don't really do that. And I think one thing we really see is that he and Michelle do have a real bond. You see Michelle saying that. So he's hanging on by a thread, and Phil, this was always your argument. Jeremy was supposed to go home. And again,
he didn't go home.
So we'll give it to Jeremy.
And what did Tony really have to do? I mean, to be MVP, he got rid of Kim, who was coming for him, but really, he had an immunity idol. He wasn't going to go home this week. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Jeremy, there's a really good argument there for Jeremy.
Yeah. Um,
Is that it?
What else we got? I think that's about it. There was a lot there.
I had one more thing written down, and this is for all the Boston Rob fans.
Oh God.
I wrote, Boston Rob has a boo-boo. I'm sorry. I wrote that down on my paper.
For those of you who are just tuning in, Phil is not the biggest Boston Rob fan.
I wrote that down on the paper, and I just laughed because I was like, oh, man, I know that everybody's going to get so mad. And Boston Rob had like a lot of screen time tonight, and he did. He had a lot, and we had Amber like crying and being so proud of him, and I get it. Did you know that Amber and Rob met on Survivor and got married because of it? I don't know if you knew that.
When did they get engaged at the?
They might have. They've done things together that involve Survivor, but I just like seeing that. Like, it doesn't hit me in the heartstrings the way Ethan hits me. And look, like maybe it's just I was a fan of Ethan the whole time, and that's what it is. Hey, Boston Rob in Marquesas is a pretty boy. Let's be real.
He's a very pretty boy.
Yeah,
I think Boston Rob calls Ethan a pretty boy.
Yeah,
like way back in All Stars.
I think he does. But no, I just saw that, and actually, I did feel for Boston Rob when he fell and hit his arm, and I feel for all of them. See, this is the thing that I think is being
misconstrued. Like everyone took a spill.
I think this is the thing that's being misconstrued with our hate of Edge of Extinction. I feel for all these people, and I understand what they're going through, and like I feel for them. Like I feel for Ethan, I feel for Danny, I feel for Boston Rob. Like I get it, but like it's just too long. It's just too long. And I don't feel for Adam Klein. Adam, hit me up whenever you want. We'll go for a jog when all this social distancing stuff is over. And this time when you play Survivor for a third time, you can run more than 15 feet. All right, let's do it, buddy.
All right. Well, I have one final question for you, because this is something that I posed to my family. I can't decide if this is us being armchair viewers or people who like to conserve our energy. If you lost that challenge, would you finish it?
No.
Hell no.
No.
I wouldn't.
No, and you know
but
what?
I have no pride, so
no, that's not about pride, that's about ego. And it's like there's a fine line between art and shit. People say that all the time. Like there's a fine line there, and the what is it? That fine line is intention. That's what they always say. There's a fine line between art and shit, and that line is intention. And that's kind of how I felt with this. It's not pride if you're doing it for your ego. Like there's like a difference there, and I know that kind of sounds contradictory, but it's not. Like that was ego, not pride.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I probably would have collapsed after one, which is probably why. But I don't know.
That's one that I would have been very good at, and I know that I would have been able to finish in the top 6 of. But like this is again like I don't know if Amber really attempted this challenge. I don't blame her.
Perfect.
Like if I'm Adam Klein, why are you trying to do this? Like go lay down and conserve your energy and go spend a coin on peanut butter. Like if you're not going to win it, just go home. That's all. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that was the last one that I had. Anything else that we're missing?
No, just we're going to do our Q&A after this. So people become patrons.
Yeah, become a patron. And we are going to be doing our Q&A for $5 plus patrons right after this. So if you are a patron, make sure to keep an eye out for that later tonight. If you are not a patron, go to patreon.com/Survivor Specialists to become one. Follow us on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Right before this sneak peek, I tried to get us to stream live on Twitter through this thing called Periscope. But I'm new to this. I'm still learning what TikTok is. So we're going to try to do that next week so you guys can watch us on yet another platform. But before or after that, this coming Sunday at an undisclosed time, because we haven't figured it out yet, we are going to be talking to Survivor Island of the Idols. We are talking to Jamal Shipman. We are very excited to have him back on. He was our first tell-all from Island of the Idols, and he is fantastic. We absolutely love him over here. So make sure to tune in for that. He's going to be doing our predictions for the double episode. And oh, okay. Oh, man. See, I wish I had actually seen that. Phil, for those of you who are not watching on video, still nobody has voted for Tony.
I'm holding up. I'm listening to Alexa, but as I am, I'm holding up number of votes cast for Tony this season. 0.
Absolutely incredible. So make sure to tune in for that. We love you guys. Stay inside. Wash your hands. We are getting through this, and we will see you all next week. Or if you're a patron, we'll see you later tonight. And I'm going to end the broadcast because that's my job now.
Toodles.
Toodles!